Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Carrie, and here on Caring with Carrie, we talk all things kids. On Saturdays, I like to try to put up videos that go over different Montessori activities or art projects that you can do with your little one, or perhaps even a kid-related topic to talk about. And then on Tuesdays, I try to do updates on my pregnancy. So I am I'm 9 weeks and 5 days today, and it has been quite the ride. In fact, that's why I haven't been uploading that much, because I've just felt sick. Week 9 is when the peak of morning sickness is supposed to happen, and this morning I actually got sick for the first time, but I've been feeling nauseous just for the past few weeks and super fatigued and no energy, all of that. So it's been really hard to put things together, and I've tried doing some things in my life to help with that. But anyways, that's why I've been a little absent, and I've also been dealing with some issues that we're going to talk more about today. If you're not following me over on my Instagram, Caring with Carrie is the handle for over there, and I've pretty much been updating everyone over there as to what's been going on. So if you're not following me over there, this may not make as much sense. So follow me over there. I try to post updates, but essentially I'm going to go over today what's been happening to me for the last 3 months that I've just been dealing with. So before I ever got pregnant, probably around January, I got an infection, and I thought it was a yeast infection, because ever since I donated my eggs in May of 2020, I have had a hormone off balance. In fact, that's why we did not expect to get pregnant in February, because January is when I had taken the spit test, or maybe it was December. It was either December or January. I had taken the spit test, and we had realized that I had a candida overgrowth, and it was very severe. And up to that point, I had never had a yeast infection, which a yeast infection is a common side effect of candida overgrowth. So I've had this candida overgrowth for at this point, maybe 8 months, 9 months, and then we get pregnant, and I was not expecting for my hormones to be able to handle a pregnancy at the time. In fact, the very first thing I ever ordered was a progesterone test whenever I got my blood work done, because I was worried that I was low in progesterone. If you want to know more about what my blood test results actually were, I'll link it right here. I did a video on that. So back to the infection. I dealt with the infection on my own for about a month before finally going to a doctor. And I went to an OBGYN that had really good reviews, and it was a very well-known, name of a medical place here around Nashville. So I went there trusting that I was going to be well taken care of, and it was a guy, OBGYN, and I felt like he didn't really listen to my concerns and what had been going on. And the nurse was definitely the same way. She was kind of standoffish a little. And the guy took my sample back, and I guess he looked under a microscope at it, and he was came back within 30 seconds, no joke, 30 seconds or less, and said, "You have BV, and I'm prescribing you Flagyl." I felt okay, I know I'm not stupid. I know I have a candida overgrowth. Why is he saying that I have BV? But I trusted him, and I took the antibiotics. The antibiotics made it about 10 times worse. So I got to day 5 of 7 of me taking the antibiotics, and I called them up, and I was like, "It's not working. I am miserable. Please tell me it'll be okay if I come off of this." Now, any normal person who worked in an office like that would perhaps try to actually help me and figure out why my body was responding that way. But I ended up talking to the nurse, the same nurse I think, and she was just like, yeah, you don't have to take it, like I don't know why it's not working. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. No, like they didn't care about me, they really didn't. And so that really turned me off and scared me from going to another doctor again for a long time. Well, so I just dealt with the pain. Then I got pregnant, and right before I got pregnant, like it had calmed down some, like a little bit, because I had drastically changed my diet and I was being so strict. And I'm like, don't know why I want to cry. I'm gonna blame it on being pregnant. It was just hard on me because I was already like struggling with other things, and then I don't know, just putting myself on that kind of strict diet, it was not good for my hormones. But I think that it helped a little bit. So what it did not help was things like my anxiety. Because I was just stressed about it. You know, I got pregnant, and pregnancy can make it worse. In fact, a yeast infection is a common like side effect of pregnancy because your hormones go all over the place when you get pregnant. So my very first time ever consulting with my midwife, I let her know, hey, I've been dealing with this, I saw this doctor, this is what happened, yada yada. She gave me 5 samples actually of this natural like thing that's supposed to help. It had like a gel in there, and it had like a wash, and it had like a thing that you insert, like a little pill. And I went through all the samples, nothing. And then like I kept reaching out for help, and I'm not gonna get into like the specific details of this, but through this whole ordeal we actually almost switched midwives because we felt like I was not being cared for again. I was being ignored or just overlooked. And I'm not sure if my midwife was just having a lot of different patients going through things at the time, like she may have overbooked herself. We don't know. Things have gotten better since then, so I don't want to go into detail. But essentially, I continued to deal with this for 3 months. Now let me just tell you how this affected my everyday life. It burns and it itches, and the skin in a very sensitive area cracks and bleeds. It hurts to walk. Sometimes it hurts to sit, and especially if you have to sit in like one position for a while. And so driving, you know, an hour to work, an hour home was really rough. If you don't know, I also battle trichotillomania, and during this time it was really bad because I was trying to do anything to keep my mind off the pain. The only thing that you can take when you're pregnant is Tylenol, and I try not to take medication as it is, so I tried not to take a whole lot of Tylenol, but it had gotten to the point where I was taking Tylenol to cope, and I was taking it every day. I couldn't sleep at night, so that was affecting me because I would wake up in the middle of the night in so much pain. My husband, like, he didn't know what to do, but he was trying to do everything he could to help, but obviously there's only so much he can do. He was kind of fed up with the midwife situation too, which is why he was just like, we're doing something to get you answers. But I had kept it from everyone else for a long time, and then I reached this breaking point where I was in so much pain that I would have suicidal thoughts cross my mind. And it's so just not like me. And as soon as these thoughts would cross my mind, I would immediately just think how stupid and ridiculous it was to think that way. But it was almost as if I couldn't stop those thoughts from coming. And once they came, like I said, I automatically realized it and like recanted, you know, any kind of thought like that. And it might sound silly to you if you've never had any of these kind of infections, it's a 24/7 pain that like I can put up with for so long. So a lot of the times my pain level on a scale of 1 to 10 would range from 3 to 5. I would say about 80 to 90% of the time. But there would be times where I would say I was consumed by the pain to the point where I was at a 10. I could not get out of the bathroom. It would be like I would leave the bathroom, you know, trying to watch these babies, these kids. I'd have to turn around and go right back because I kept trying to apply creams or coconut oil or something, anything I could do to take away the pains. It was just dark time for me. I felt embarrassed to have those thoughts. I felt really shameful. And I finally told Tyler about him. And so he stepped up and he decided to say something in the group chat with me and my midwife. He posted this long paragraph about how we needed answers, we needed something. Oh, I forgot to mention, the last thing that my midwife had said to me was, even though I told her that I was doing my best with my diet, that diet was like the biggest thing and I must not be doing it right, and I had limited myself to almonds, plain meat, and green vegetables. But there's some green vegetables that can make like hormones worse. Like sometimes like broccoli isn't great for your digestive system. So my green vegetables, I pretty much had like spinach and zucchini and green beans. I sustained that diet for like 2 or 3 days. I was struggling with it. So at this time, I began to detest this diet. I say I began to. I really detested it from the beginning. My body began to react along with that feeling. So I would gag every time I thought about eating the things in this diet. And then I would feel so sick the entire time I was eating. And then I just didn't want to eat, because I'd rather like just not feel sick. So I wasn't really eating much. I was in a ton of pain. I was mentally very broken, and it just seemed like I had nowhere to turn. I had looked up every remedy on the internet, and you can believe I have tried anything and everything 10 times over. Every little tip that you can find on the internet, I found it and I used it and I tried it. Like, people will be trying to help me, I know that they are, and they like give me these tips and I'm just like, I've had this for 3 months. You really think I haven't tried to wear cotton underwear? Like, like, I'm sorry. So I finally reached out to my doula, which technically, like, the doula, we're supposed to have a meeting with her when we go in for our ultrasound on April 29th. And so technically, like, I wasn't sure if her services were something like I could use yet, but she had told me to give her my number. In desperation, I texted her and I was like, this is what's been going on. Do you have any recommendations? Anything that could help? She recommended a probiotic. She said you can take it orally and you can insert it. Tried that, still wasn't helping. By the way, going back to my husband sending that paragraph to the midwife, she didn't get back to us. He sent that at like 9 or 10 in the morning on a weekday, and she didn't get back to us until 9:45 that night. And she was like, basically, oh, I'll try to get you in with my consultant on Tuesday at the earliest. If you need to, try to go to One Stop and have them take a culture, whatever. One Stop is urgent care. So the next day we went to urgent care because I didn't sleep much that night. I was in a lot of pain, and they found out that I had BV, yeast infection, and UTI all at the same time, and that the reason that the antibiotic Flagyl didn't work is because Flagyl, while it works for some types of bacteria that you can have with BV, it doesn't necessarily work as well with others, and I could have had the other kinds of bacteria. And she immediately put me on antibiotics because she said, and you have a UTI, and especially because we don't know how long you've had it for, that can travel up to the baby and it can be dangerous. So you've got to start on this antibiotic. I can't remember what it's called, clotrimazole or something like that. Actually, I don't think that's right. I think that's the yeast infection stuff. So she put me on this antibiotic for the UTI, and I believe it helped clear up my BV. Now, when you're on an antibiotic, the con to that is often a yeast infection can be a side effect of an antibiotic. So I still had a yeast infection, although I was happy to have BV and UTI gone, and I was feeling pretty much better. And they also gave me this cream called clotrimazole, which is usually used in like foot fungus kind of stuff, and usually in things like monostat they use miconazole. I know I'm saying these wrong, I'm sorry. So usually they use that, and for some reason my body does not react well to it. In fact, it seems to like make it worse. So I do not use monostat. I don't know, my body must be so weird, you guys. I have found out since the egg donation that I'm sensitive to like the weirdest things. So pregnancy has been super fun so far. So yeah, I take this clotrimazole and it really helps. And it's the first thing that actually helps. Well, it has to be prescribed because over the counter you can only buy it like as a foot fungus thing. So I'm like, okay. So it's so rare that any pharmacy has to like special order it, and it takes a while. I didn't realize that a 3-day treatment was not going to cut it. I believe I've had something come back. I'm pretty sure it's at least yeast infection, and I'm not sure, and I'm not confident that the other two infections have completely left the scene. I'm about to finish up my antibiotic today, but I slacked off at one point when I was feeling really good, and I was only taking 1 pill a day, and I was supposed to be taking 3 pills a day. I know I messed up there. When you're tired and have pregnancy brain, it's just you don't think about it, and I was feeling better, so I knew I needed to finish the antibiotic, but it wasn't like on the forefront of my mind, you know? When you're feeling bad, you're like, I want to take anything and everything to help me feel better, and when you're feeling good, you just don't think about it. So that's pretty much what happened. When I was posting on Instagram, we were waiting for my cultures to get back. They told me I had 75 lymphocytes, I think is what it's called, in my sample when I was first there, and that's what alerted them to the possible UTI. And that's apparently like a lot of like that type of bacteria. Okay, so when you have a UTI, you can have up to 5 different kinds of, no, when you have BV, you can have up to 5 different kinds of bacteria, and that's why that flagell, wasn't working or whatever. So when I got my culture results back, they said I had 4 or more types of bacteria. The kind of antibiotic that they had me on, like, they said it should be working, and it was. So they're like, so yeah, unless you need to bring in another culture or whatever, you're good to go, like if you're feeling better. And so I had them re-prescribe the yeast infection stuff because I want to make sure I definitely clear that off. And then if this antibiotic, tomorrow or the next day, if I'm still struggling, I may go back in just to get re-prescribed the antibiotic again. So when I was asking for prayer for me and baby deer, which if you don't know, my last name is Staggs, so we're playing off of that since my husband likes to hunt, and a stag is a male deer. We are saying we have a baby deer, D-E-E-R, as a play on words for that. Because D-E-A-R is something that you can also call someone that is special to you, that you love, or is dear to you, right? So if you hear me say baby dear, that's why. But I was putting on Instagram, please pray for me and baby dear. There's a situation that could be dangerous, and that was the UTI. At that point, we just had no idea how long I had it, if it had traveled up to the baby, what its effects were, and all that. And so far, I do believe like we're in the clear. I won't really get a ton of answers until we get to our ultrasound at the end of April, but I've been having all the normal pregnancy symptoms, so I am going to trust God in that right now everything is okay. So that's pretty much the update, everything that's been going on with the baby. Again, everything should be okay, and I definitely felt your prayers. If you saw my Instagram stories and posts, I know that there are people out there praying, and I'm so thankful for those people. I know we felt those prayers, and it was amazing feeling myself again after 3 months of being in so much pain. So that was also an answer to prayer, but just the baby being safe was the biggest concern that I had. So I will definitely be keeping you guys updated with everything that's been going on. I post bump date pictures every week on my Instagram stories. So again, if you're not following me over there, feel free to do so. I'll be trying to get a video up this Saturday, if I can, of some content for you with your kiddos and some activities that you can be doing with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.